5 games in, Tennessee has a bye week this week, a chance to recharge, regroup, get healthy. But kind of going into this stretch now of SEC games, Austin, where is Tennessee better than you thought that they were going to be? And maybe where is Tennessee worse than you thought it was going to be?
Man, I still think you're kind of figuring out where they are because they've had some key injuries and they're out. They're not as good at receiver as I thought they would be because Dante Thornton has not been who they projected him to be to this point, and obviously Brew McCoy's now out. I do like what they're getting out of Caleb Webb, and we'll see more Chaz Nimrod from here on out. On defense, I think that they're even better on the defensive line than I thought they would be. I think that I thought they would be good, but I didn't realize they'd be this disruptive. And I know they didn't play great at Florida, but I think that was more game plan than anything else. And I think they wish they had a do-over for how they played Florida defensively. But that'd be the two units I would go roll with.
Rob, where has Tennessee kind of impressed you, and maybe where has Tennessee come up short, kind of entering the season? Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you have to say defensive line for sure. And I'm not one of these people that's super critical of him, but I did think Milton would be better. I thought that I thought we'd see more Clemson, Joe Milton than what we has. And I'm not one of these. I don't think he's been awful. I don't think he's the reason Tennessee lost at Florida. But he's just. I just thought he would be more accurate and a little more in control based off everything that we heard in the spring and the fall. And I guess that would be my biggest takeaway. And again, I'm not one of these people that thinks you bench him right now and all that. I just thought he would be better.
I would agree with that. From my assessment, I think that Joe Milton certainly not the reason Tennessee losing some games. We talked about him on the Rocky Top Rewind and that being a game manager, because that's what he is right now, the best looking game manager in the country. He's not losing you games. But Brent, I too, along with Rob, I thought he would be better to this point. There's a lot of football left. Maybe that's kind of where I've been wrong so far, but I agree with Austin. Defensive line's been good. Wide receiver at points and times not been as strong as I thought so far, but Tennessee's still very much figuring it out.
Yeah, I mean, my disappointing surprise, I thought they would be better overall in the vertical passing game than what they've been, and I think everybody goes into that. Now, getting Cooper back helps you protect up front a little better. Maybe that helps your vertical passing game, but they just haven't played very well 20 yards downfield in the passing game like I thought they would. So we'll see where that goes from there. In terms of individuals, the three most impressive or surprise players for me to this point, I thought Jalen Wright had made a step. I didn't know he had made that big of a step in his physicality in the run game. We knew James Pierce had a ton of talent. Could he put that talent together? I'm surprised he's done that to the degree that he has so far. I mean, he's becoming a much more complete player in front of our eyes. And Austin talks about it all the time, contract year. Nobody's playing their contract year better right now than Tyler Barron is. That's the Tyler Barron that you thought was in there for several years. Now, I know he's staying healthy, but his stat line against South Carolina was nothing. He didn't have a stat line basically against South Carolina. I thought he played really well in that game. I thought he was super disruptive, created a lot of problems for his teammates that they capitalized on. He's been as big a surprise to me as anybody on this team through 5 games.
This is a big surprise. I mean, it's not like the biggest storyline. I'm really surprised. How surprising is it Tennessee is legit playing 2 freshman linebackers in Carter? And I wanted to ask you last night, Hubbard. I was afraid it was too late to call. When is the last time that they have legit played 2 freshman linebackers at the same time as part of the 2 deep? I couldn't remember. I couldn't come up with anything.
No, I mean, I don't know when that would have happened. That you would have played. I mean, maybe it's happened somewhere along the way that I don't remember. I mean, Mayo played as a freshman. I don't remember who all was beside him. But I listen. No one ever from now on should ever criticize Brian Jean-Marie or wonder whether or not they're willing to take. I mean, that guy is rotating and has generated rotation since he's been here with some guys that you're not really sure why they're rotating. And for him, Austin, to put guys in the situations he's put them in the last 2 weeks. I mean, Aaron Carter's on the field against UTSA on a 4th down play. He makes a great play on. Then you look up last night or Saturday night, they're in some critical situations, and both of them are out there. I mean, Brian Jean-Marie says, hey, I trust you. Prove me right. And those guys are starting to prove him right because I think they're getting better almost quarter by quarter, half by half, not just game by game.
Well, and I think that specifically the defensive side of the ball, and probably more so the front seven, they realize that they've got to push some of these younger guys along. That and the fact that, kids get this, they get disgruntled over there when they're not playing. And so, I'm not saying they got to play 40 snaps, but getting a kid 7 to 12 snaps goes a long way to keeping that kid satisfied for next year when he's going to play you 45 or 50 snaps. And, T. Lander has worked extremely hard. He's been one of the more diligent workers in that entire defensive side of the building. And then, of course, Arion Carter as well. So, they are really putting themselves, in a position where they're going to help this team going forward. And they're only going to be that much better if Keenan Peely is able to come back at the tail end of the year. How much better will that group be just because they've all played, they've all been forced into action? And you can say that same thing for the Webbs and Nimrods now. And, we'll see who else can help this team over the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's one thing. It's to me, Eric, it's one thing to play guys, to give them a little run, to keep them jazzed up. Clearly there was a plan going into the UTSA game. Hey, we need to get Nimrod and Webb on the field. Okay. Not worried about losing that game. We need to get them on the field, get them some run, and kind of get that going. Now, because of the injury to McCoy, you're going to have to play them. But there was a plan against San Antonio, UT San Antonio, to play those guys for the very reason Austin's talking about, to make sure they're engaged and not disgruntled. Brian Jean-Marie's doing something different. He's taking 2 freshmen and he's putting them in super high critical, big-time situations because he's totally believing in those guys. I get what you're saying, but what BJ is doing with those guys in key moments is you just haven't seen that. And that's a credit to him and his trust he has in them. That's a credit to their work ethic and the development they're having at that position.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Most coaches don't do what he's doing. They roll with the old heads, even to sometimes the detriment of the team, because they know that, this guy knows what he's going to do. He's not going to minnow us. Right. He's not going to Nigel Warrior at South Carolina. Right. But at the same time, those guys can make some plays too, and so it's a give and take.
He couldn't do that in years past. This is an off-season conversation, but just quickly as we wrap up the Brian Jean-Marie talk, I think he's done the most with what he's had so far here as an assistant coach. He's been brilliant.
He had nothing the first couple of years outside JB.
We made the joke about this team won 10 games with some of the guys they had playing last year, and it's true. It's truly incredible, the management, the strategic behind all that, but forcing these guys in there to get some action because you're going to have to count on them. I don't think that they envision counting on some of these guys as much because of the Keenan Peely injury, but here you are. And, you're going on the road to Tuscaloosa. You're playing the big-time SEC games coming up, and you just played in one. And get these guys some real-time exposure, it's huge. I think we can all agree that where this team is right now, Rob, if Tennessee cannot run the football, I think Tennessee's in trouble in that game. Tennessee's a great running team. If Tennessee is shut out and can't run the football, I don't think you could hang around and make things interesting like 2021 at Alabama, where Tennessee couldn't run the football and it was a one-score game in the fourth quarter, whatever it was. Tennessee's got to run the football.
No, and it's just, Joe Milton's a different quarterback than Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker could cover up a lot of stuff. Even if it wasn't, complete the pass. Buying 2 or 3 more seconds and get out in the open field. So, Joe could, you could win with Joe playing complementary football. I think that we can all agree with that, but I completely, you're not going to win if he's looking at a lot of 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8s.
Yeah. And maybe that improves as the year goes on, but I think that's kind of what we know through 5 games.
Hey, that's what you know about Josh Heupel, the Josh Heupel era.
Yeah.
This is a program, even with Hendon Hooker as a Heisman candidate, they are now 19-3 when they rush for more than 150 yards. When they rush for less than 150 yards, they're 3-6. It's, that's the money line, right? You've got to be able to run the football. For all the talk about, how much they throw it and vertical field and all those other things. The catalyst for this offense is running the football. And when they can run the football successfully, they're going to win. I mean, I think one of the three losses was Purdue in the bowl game. Another was Ole Miss when they let Ole Miss run for 300 yards against them. Those were year one games. I mean, you look at where they're at. 150 is the big number. If you can get there, they're going to give themselves a chance to win every game that they play the rest of the way.
Tennessee's got 3 backs that they like an awful lot right now. They've got a lot of confidence in, and of course, the more you run the football, set up those second short, second manageables, the better off you are moving forward.